Hello, Squirrel Tribe. We have a few updates today in relation to the Appalachee High School shooting and everything that's been going on since Wednesday afternoon when everything first came out, right? Yesterday, the mugshot of the child that is responsible for the shooting came out, and I'm going to show you this kid's picture. This is Colt Gray, the 14-year-old they say shot up the school, killed 2 students and 2 teachers and injured 9 others that sent them to the hospital, right? And then I think they said there was like 30 other kinds of injuries that weren't bullet related, but they were still related to the whole incident on Wednesday at Appalachee High School. That is the kid. That is the same one that has been on the FBI watch list for over a year due to threats that were made the previous year when this kid was 13. The FBI went to the house, talked to the son and the father. The father said, yeah, we have hunting guns, but he has no access to them, whatever else. And then somehow this Colt kid ended up with an AR style, is what they're calling it, an AR style weapon, and went to the school and shot up the school. Now, this is the other information that's come out so far is that the father was actually arrested last night and booked on, let's see if I have all the pictures here. I've got the dad's mugshot as well. Let's see, and some information on the mother. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Let me find the mugshot of the dad. Here is the father of Colt Gray. This is his dad. He looks trustworthy, right? He kind of looks a little like Nick Nolte. I'm not even gonna lie. He looks a little like Nick Nolte. So this is the mugshot of Colin Gray, the father of 14-year-old Colt Gray, the accused shooter of at Appalachee High School. So today, this morning, Friday morning, was when they had the initial, like, I don't know if it's called an arraignment, but it says he appeared in Barrow County Superior Court in person this is Colt Gray, in person for a bond hearing on Friday morning. His attorney did not request bond and returned to the Gainesville Regional Youth Detention Center soon after. That's where Colt Gray is being held right now. Last night, Colin Gray, the father of Appalachee High School mass shooting suspect Colt Gray, was arrested and charged with murder, involuntary manslaughter, and cruelty to children. He is expected to make his own court appearance later on today. They're saying that the father is the one who gave the gun to Colt for his birthday, an AR style gun to his son. No, not for his birthday, sorry, for Christmas. So not only did the FBI show up at their house last year because of some threats that they could track back to Colt Gray about shooting up a school. Not only did the FBI show up for that, but then after that, the father says, oh no, he has no access to guns. There's no problem here. He then gives him a gun for Christmas after all of this. So of course now the dad being arrested and charged with manslaughter and murder and everything else makes perfect sense, because without the father, the kid would not have had the gun. Why did the father, knowing that the kid had these issues, give him a gun? Now on top of that, the mom was not exactly anything great either. So the mother, her name is Marcy. She was arrested last year, 2023, in Georgia on a slew of charges, including vehicle theft and drug trafficking. Records show that Marcy Gray was arrested on November 6th last year for possession of methamphetamine, sale, distribution, or possession of dangerous drugs, concealing identity of a vehicle, and other charges. Says that she left her husband, Colin Gray, after a 14-year marriage, alleging she had suffered domestic abuse the whole time. According to her sister, some lady named Annie, Marcy was a drug addict who stole from everyone who loved her to sustain her habit. So here's mom, in case anybody is curious what mom looks like. Now, I would like to just go ahead and point out that the whole reason this information about the mom is coming out, the whole reason the information about the dad is coming out, is so that you feel sorry for Colt Gray. So it paints this picture of this kid who's led this horrible life, abuse and whatever else, and he couldn't help himself. It's mental, it's emotional abuse, it's physical abuse, it's whatever else, so that there is a reason behind why this kid did what he did. Of course, they want you to feel sorry for him. Do I feel sorry for him? No. Does it suck that he grew up in this situation? Yes. But he still, of his own accord, went and shot up a school and killed 2 kids and 2 teachers. I can't feel bad for somebody who willingly picked up a gun and went and did these things. Do I think the father should be charged for everything as well? Yes, because without that gun, the kid could not have done what he did. The father knowingly put weapons into his hands, knowing that he had already made threats against the school. So of course the father should go to jail at the exact same time that this kid should go to jail. Both of them are extremely guilty of everything for this. Let me read you a couple things that have come out from these news channels. Let's see. So Colt Gray has been charged with murder, currently being held at the Gainesville Regional Youth Detention Center. FBI did confirm to the news station here, Channel 2 Action News, that Gray had been investigated for making school shooting threats last year, but was not arrested, which we talked about yesterday. Now, they're saying the incident first unfolded around 10:20 a.m. when officers from multiple agencies were dispatched to the high school after reports of an active shooter. But we know from earlier reports that the school went on lockdown at 9:30 a.m. after they heard the sounds of the first gunshots. That's when the school went on lockdown. And I still want to know why it took from 9:30 to 10:20 for officers to be dispatched. I want to know why there was a 50-minute window there. They're not talking about it, and I think that needs to be looked at, why there was such a long time between the initial images going across their computer screens and the doors being on lock, and then the police and everybody else being notified. That time frame is absolutely crazy to me. Now, also, we have here that it was supposed to so the kid is being charged with 4 counts of, the dad is being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children, which is interesting because 9 kids were hurt. 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter makes sense for all 4 people. 2 counts of second-degree murder. I wonder why 2 counts. Like, I'm curious how they decipher or decide what he gets charged with. Colin was with his son Colt during an interview last year with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office after the FBI connected threats made on Discord server to the 13-year-old. No probable cause was found during that investigation, but the school was notified about the incident. The family would then move to neighboring Barrow County, enrolling Colt into Appalachee High School. So that, at the time when we spoke about it, right when it happened on Wednesday, I was not aware at that time because it hadn't been made known that this was not the same school system that Colt had been in when he made the initial threats. That was a completely different county. When that happened, they moved to a different county, hoping that maybe they wouldn't know what had happened. So it's possible Appalachee High School did not have a heads up to the danger of this child, but at the same time, you would think that that's something that's going to go in school records and would transfer with him, right? Now, it said that the person here would not go into the evidence collected against either the father or the son, but added that the arrest was made when there was enough probable cause to do so, meaning the arrest of the father, Colin Gray. The ATF and GBI were at the Gray home within an hour after Colt Gray was taken into custody. Investigators spent the day combing over the house for evidence linked to the shooting. The dad's booked into the Barrow County Jail, and they're investigating, following leads, everything else. So that is the update for right now on everything that's going on with this kid and the dad and everything else. Let's see. So now we're going to change gears here because I just wanted to give you an update on what was going on there. One of the other update is one of the girls that was life flighted, the only one who's life flighted after getting shot, has been deemed okay and stable and good. And there's pictures of her, smiling and thumbs up on her cell phone in the hospital bed. So that's good. Everybody else has already been treated and released. So everybody that was injured during the shooting has been released except for the one girl who's still in the hospital. Now, I want you guys to hear this. We've been talking about Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Tim Walz, Donald Trump, a lot lately because we have the election coming up on November 5th, and these conversations are extremely important. Just a couple weeks ago, we talked about how even CNN and MSNBC and other public news anchors and publications isn't right because that's for magazines and whatnot, but news stations are seeing the turning of the tides is what I would like to call it. And either it's because they see that Kamala Harris is not really as popular as they want us to believe she is, or they see that a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz regime would be detrimental to the country. So now even CNN and MSNBC and others are calling out Kamala Harris for things that she says or things that she does. And I want you guys to see this right here. If I can get this pulled up. This is on CNN. Make bigger. I can't get this to go bigger. There we go. I want you guys to see this and hear this. So give me a second to get this backed up. Okay.
Tonight, K-File investigates. In a new report, you'll see first out front. The K-File team scoured Kamala Harris's tweets and statements going all the way back to 2017. And what they found was more than 50 instances of Harris slamming Trump's border wall. And now, new Harris campaign ads actually showcase that very wall.
Listen, we've already talked about how her nickname is Flip Flop Harris for a reason. She had no policies to stand on until she went to Las Vegas and stole Donald Trump's no tax on tips. She had no policies to stand on until she decided that because Pennsylvania is a swing state, she must win. Now, suddenly, she's all for fracking, although since day one, she has been like completely against fracking. I think she even tried to sue the Obama administration due to fracking issues or whatever else. Then, she complained the whole time about border walls, saying they were racist and that the people crossing the border illegally weren't criminals, and putting up a wall was treating them like criminals and everything else. And now here we are, closer to election, again, Flip-Flop Harris doing what she does, and now she wants a border wall, and she's using her campaign ads and showing Donald Trump's border wall from when he was a president, showing them in her ads like it's something she has done and something she will continue on with. We all know that's not the case, but even CNN, again, is calling her out. Let's finish this.
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
Border czar is what they meant.
And on top of critical tweets, Harris also wrote in her 2019 book, quote, "There was a bigger reason to oppose the border wall. A useless wall on the southern border would be nothing more than a symbol, a monument standing in opposition to not just everything I value, but to the fundamental values upon which this country was built. How could I vote to build what would be little more than a monument designed to send the cold, hard message, keep out?"
And I need people to understand that. She says it went against her values, because she said, even in the, little interview that she did with Tim Walz and Dana Bash on CNN, she said that her values have not changed. And her values, even she is stating right here, her values are that we should have open borders, that a wall is just a monument, and it's, little more than a monument designed to send the cold, hard message, keep out. She believes that we should let anybody in, no matter who they are, what they've done, where they're coming from. We should just let them in. That is her value. She has said numerous times, her values have not changed, yet her ads are saying something completely different, because she's trying to get the people to vote for her based off of what they're seeing in the moment, not what they have seen, not what they have heard, not what they know to be fact, but she's trying to get them to see it now in a completely different light, in hopes that will win her votes. And I hope it doesn't work.
Well, K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. So, Andrew, you all have gone through, scoured an incredible amount of material. Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. We found more than 50 of those tweets criticizing the border wall before she used that in her ad. And I want people to take a look at just a few of what she said here. She called it wasteful, useless, a waste of taxpayer money, a vanity wall project, a wasteful border wall, a stupid wall, a medieval vanity project, and an unnecessary wall. And those are really just, there were more. This was like 10 or like 50. But there was really a lot of this was the common refrain during the campaign. You read that quote where she said it was against everything that not only she stood for, everything America stood for, but she brought this up a lot. Take a listen to just one instance of that in 2019.
It's the president's vanity project.
His multi-billion-dollar vanity project called a wall is nothing more than a distraction from the fact that he actually hasn't focused on working people in America. He contrived a national crisis around his big distraction.
All right, so
He contrived a national crisis. She was saying at the time when Donald Trump was in office and we had, illegal border crossings that were a fraction of what we've had the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration. She says he contrived this issue like it wasn't real. And honestly, if you look back then to now, it seems like it wasn't really that big a deal back then compared to what they've let it be. But that's another issue. She didn't think even then that the millions of illegal immigrants coming across the border was a real issue. She thought that was a non-issue, a non-starter. So she had a huge issue with his vanity project that would have worked if the Biden-Harris administration had not found ways to demolish it completely.
You go through all of that, you've got all the tweets, and yet all of a sudden in the ads, there's pictures of the wall, and then you went through to look at that wall. Like, what is that specific wall that's in her campaign ads now? And, you found something very interesting about this specific portion of the wall.
And I think what's also really remarkable about this is, like, I mean, you heard her talking about it there, Trump's wall in his campaign during his presidency. There was really no greater symbol of Trump's presidency than the wall, and the way that Democrats were attacking him over the wall and his restrictive immigration policies. So we looked in that ad, and if you look at it, that exact area of wall is in Sasabe, Arizona, and that is a portion of wall that was actually built by Donald Trump. It was built in an area where there was not previous wall. It was actually pretty controversial when they were building it at the time. So just to see that, and then there are other.
She's using his wall that he built to say, "Look at what I did."
And the other images of the wall, we weren't able to pinpoint, but there's telltale signs that was a Trump wall, because there's an anti-climbing plate on top that became.
Look, this woman, Kamala Harris, is willing to steal somebody else's actual idea, steal the proof of their idea, and try to convince the American people that it is her own. Why is that okay? Why are people, applauding Kamala Harris for wanting to now build a wall when technically she's still showing the one that was Donald Trump's? These are things that people have got to pay attention to. She can't, in my personal opinion, she's not trustworthy because of the things that she has done, the things that she has said, the lack of things that she has done, the lack of initiative that she's taken to have any kind of real conversation with anybody during this election period. She, of course, had Tim Walz with her at her presidential interview with Dana Bash on CNN, which wasn't even a real interview. It was a chopped and skewed 18-minute, I don't even know what to call it. We watched it. You guys watched it. You can see it on YouTube in little clips, little CNN uploads. They didn't put up the whole entire thing. The Kamala Harris campaign will not let them release the transcript of the entire 41 minutes that they had from the interview that they chopped down to 18 minutes, because everything in there lets you know that this woman has no clue what she's doing. This is way off topic, but we talked about this a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday or the day before, how New York Governor Kathy Hochul, I still mess it up. I hear it and I still find a way to mess it up every single time. How one of her aides was just, found out to be working for China. Well, just now, the FBI has reportedly executed a search warrant and seized the cell phones of the NYPD commissioner, as well as several other high-ranking officers. Something massive is happening in NYC. This comes just hours after top aides of Democrat Mayor Eric Adams had their homes raided by the feds. What is going on here? And I have the same question. I will be looking into this more, but there is some stuff going on in New York City. We had Laura Loomer on X telling people for the last couple weeks almost that there have been National Guard at different hotels and in the area because they're worried about what's going to happen on September 18th if Judge Juan Merchan does sentence Donald Trump to Rikers Island, basically. So they're saying that they've had numerous National Guard in there, and now you have FBI people in there and raiding the homes of Eric Adams. His aides. This is crazy. New York City right now seems like something out of a Batman movie to me, like a Gotham kind of thing with all the FBI, the National Guard, the underhanded, dirty politicians, just a little bit of everything going on there right now. I have a lot of stuff here for you guys today. So we just talked about Kamala Harris. Get this, just in. Look, I feel like President Trump thinks he's in some sort of movie, that slicked back hair and those shades. Look at that. So President Biden, y'all don't worry about my brain fart today. President Biden admits that the Inflation Reduction Act was not actually about inflation after he started ranting without the teleprompter. This is why they've been keeping that man under wraps and he's been on vacation for the last, 20-something days, is because they don't want him talking to people, because there really is a high chance that this man has dementia and he will go off script, off rails very, very often. He'll stand there looking completely lost. He'll forget how to move. He'll basically glitch out. And this is crazy. Holy shit. Biden said the Inflation Reduction Act was actually about funding climate change efforts and said the act should have actually been named something different. And I want you to hear exactly what he has to say. It's only a couple seconds long. Wait, let's see. Here we go.
My investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever. And by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the, we should have named it what it was, but at any rate,
Bro, like the lack of, I feel like Biden sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie, where my brain forgets how to like fire on all synapses, I think is the right word, and I lose train of thought, or I have too much going on. I start going this way, but I feel like we're a little different. I feel like I have too many things in my brain going on. I feel like there's too much space in his, and the ping pong or the marble is just floating all around and hitting nothing, and that's why he loses train of thought. But according to this, he says, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever. And by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. We should have named it what it was, which is a climate change act. So again, they're finding ways to tell you that they're going to spend money, and then they're spending it on things that we are not told about. There's a lot of hiding of money, of using money in ways that should not be used. The money that somehow accidentally got sent to the Taliban, the money that's been going to the Ukraine, but how much is actually going over there? How much is coming back and going into the pockets of Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer? We've talked about that before. The money that Biden has gotten over the last few years, him and Hunter Biden pocketed like $27 million from foreign forces or affairs or whatever else. When it comes to the money, it gets very, very dicey in politics, and especially it seems in the Biden administration, because you just never know what's going on. This here, Biden and Kamala confirm after the shooting at Appalachee High School, Biden and Kamala confirm they want to ban AR-15s and institute red flag laws that would be weaponized to seize guns from conservatives. Kamala isn't messing around. She's going to seize our guns. This is from a post on X, but this is Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, talking. And we've talked about this before also, how when Kamala Harris was in charge in California, she had a list of people who were felons and had guns, and people who they thought might possibly could maybe at some point in their life do something wrong and also had guns. And they put the list together and they sent the police to these houses to confiscate these weapons. Confiscating weapons from known felons, cool. Confiscating weapons from people that you decided to put on a list because you think they might do something wrong. Technically, that Appalachee High School Colt Gray should have been on that. But did they confiscate the guns from him or his dad? No, they did not. But then Kamala wants everybody to be gunless. She doesn't want anybody to have guns. So my name could end up on that list. Your name could end up on that list. Your grandmother's name could end up on that list, because that list has no actual factual kind of backing to it. It's just I don't know. I feel like maybe they could be bad, so we should totally put their name on the list and like go knock on their door and take all their shit. That's what it comes down to. Let's listen to Karine Jean-Pierre real quick here.
We continue to call on Congress to do something. We need universal background checks. We need ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Require safe storage of firearms. Invest in violence prevention programs, and pass a national red flag law. Enough is enough. And I cannot say this enough, which is enough is enough. We cannot allow this to happen in our communities.
I feel like enough is enough. And by enough is enough, I mean listening to Karine Jean-Pierre, enough is enough. So don't we already have background checks and all these other things? And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the ones who are law-abiding citizens actually abide by all of these things. It's the criminals and the ones who are intent on doing harm are the ones who don't abide by this. So what is changing these laws going to do except for make it harder for the law-abiding citizens to have control of their own personal safety, their Second Amendment rights, and the non-law abiding people are still going to have everything they've got and find ways to get more weapons, and enough is enough. What is that going to fix? Anyway, Kamala Harris is a threat to our Constitution, a threat to our safety, a threat to basically just the United States in general, personal opinion. Now, this is being talked about a lot right now, and I'd like to point out a couple of different things. Number one, people have been talking about Putin a lot lately, right? Vladimir Putin. They've been talking about the fact that there's this rumor going around that he's been paying people to speak in high praise of Trump to kind of like help Trump. They said the same thing in 2016, 2020, both, I think, that Russia was funneling money in to help Donald Trump win the election. Well, in case you forgot, in 2020, Putin backed Biden. And right now, Putin has said that, what did he say? Let me tell you exactly what he said about Kamala Harris. Where is it? This is what Putin said. We will support her, Putin said ahead of the 2024 United States elections, according to published reports, adding, she laughs so expressively and infectiously that it means that everything is fine with her. Okay, you hear what he says. Her laugh means that everything is fine with her, meaning she doesn't have like a serious thought in her mind. She doesn't really know what's going on. If everything is fine with her, she's not aware of the severity of things going on in her own country, let alone the rest of the world. So of course we're going to back her because she's a dumbass. That's what it says. 4 years ago, Putin said he preferred then Democratic nominee Joe Biden over Trump, something he noted when he discussed Harris during an economic conference this week in Vladivostok? Sure, why not? Trump says, I don't know if I'm insulted or he did me a favor, talking about Putin while outlining economic proposals to a group of New York City and Wall Street officials. Here's what's very, very interesting, though. This is what critics have to say. Critics have long taken aim at Trump's relationship with Putin. Back in the White House, Harris campaign spokesman Ian Sams told CNN this week, get this, that I think everybody knows who dictators and bullies around the world would prefer in this election. This is what he said, and I need people to understand exactly what that means. He says, I think everybody knows who dictators and bullies around the world would prefer in this election. Yes, soft people they can walk all over, which is exactly why Putin would be like, oh yeah, totally wanted Biden. I totally want Kamala Harris. She'd be great because if they are dictators and they are bullies, what are they going to do? They are going to bully the United States into whatever it is that they want. And with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz at the helm, I'm pretty sure I could bully them into whatever I want because neither one of them have a backbone or a spine at all. Combined, they don't even have one total backbone or spine. The fact that a Harris campaign spokesman, Ian Sims, told CNN, I think everybody knows who dictators and bullies around the world prefer in this election. And then Putin comes out and says, oh yes, we will support her. She laughs so expressively and infectiously that it means that everything is fine with her. They are looking at her as weak because she is. They're not looking at Trump as weak, which is why they're like, no. We don't want somebody who will stand up to the bully. We don't want somebody who will stand up to the dictator. We want somebody that we can steamroll over. So of course we want Kamala Harris in there. Of course they wanted Biden in there. And they got Biden in there. And then look, all of our money has gone to Ukraine. Of course Putin wants Kamala in there, who will continue sending money to Ukraine, because as Russia goes into Ukraine and they're fighting back and forth, anytime Russia wins, guess what they get? All of those weapons that the United States has sent to Ukraine. Now Russia has more weapons thanks to the United States. So of course they want Kamala Harris in there. Of course they want to keep Democrats in there because it's helping their pockets. It's helping their cause. They don't want Donald Trump in there because it will stop. Money to Ukraine will dry up. There will be no more money for Ukraine in that aspect for Russia. There will be no soft pushover in the White House anymore. People have got to listen to these things and actually understand what they mean. Not just that little 5-second clip or blurb that you're going to get on CNN or MSNBC, ABC, NBC, whatever, even Fox News. You have to really look at what is being said and think to yourself, but why would a country we're supposed to be scared of and not like want Kamala Harris at the helm? That should tell you something, my personal opinion on that. Listen, I know this has been an all over the place kind of video. I appreciate you letting me have a smorgasbord of conversation with you. It does me well. Hopefully you guys have learned something in this whole whatever. And until the next one, I hope you guys have a fabulous morning and I love you. Goodbye.